the University of Aveiro in Portugal, and she was and is still a dear colleague within UCAN. I have to say I learned a lot, and I'm still working to jump in her footprints with regard to vet providers, for example. Lucilia has a PhD background in condensed matter physics, and she is full member of the ULL Research Center Didactics, Technology and Education of Trainers. Well, Lucilia has a long-standing experience in university undergrad and postgraduate teaching in engineering, health and teachers training degrees, and in physics teacher training. And of course, a lot of scientific supervision of master and PhD dissertation and thesis. While, and I think this is not the topic why you're here, Lucilia, but while you are, your research area was initially condensed metaphysics, and the interface with medical and health diagnosis methods, I think you still turned a bit to the ULLL sector within the time. And you are also the founder and coordinator of the UA, so University of Aveiro Center for Lifelong Learning. And until 2019, you also have executive functions on the professional trainings unit of the University of Aveiro. You're also, and I think this is something important looking at the group we have here, institutional coordinator of the process of preparation and access of non-traditional students to the university. Oh, you did it from 2006 till last year. So I think for a very long time with much experience on that. I already said you are member of UCAN, but you were member of the steering committee of UCAN from 2015 and 2019. And you all were also integrated in the expert group that I was just pointing to the workshop for these last years. And you also were involved in CEDEFOP's working group on learning providers and the challenge of TEL, enhancing teachers and trainer skills. So well, and involved in a lot of UCAN projects. So with this, I stop. Otherwise, I could go on for hours on that. But actually, Lucilia, we want to hear what you can say us about or tell us about the change that is coming at universities. And I promised that you would talk about the connection to industry today. So Lucilia, the floor is yours. Please share your screen. So perfect. And now we need your voice. You just need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay. I think now you can hear me. Okay, thank you so much for your presentation, Eva, and it's very good to be again with UCAN people and our colleagues from overseas. And my presentation today is about why is this not working?
Maybe you just need to...
Can you see the...
Yeah, I can see the first page.
Ah.
Yeah, now it's working.
Okay. So my presentation today is about a change in higher education institutions. And as usual, when I finished the presentation, finished preparing it, I would start all over again and do it differently. But because mainly the change I will tell you about today is what happened in my institution. And at European level, there is quite a lot of other changes going on regarding university and industry partnerships, but we'll get there, okay? So, University of Aveiro went through a major change in the last 3 years because we had elections and there's a new team ruling the university. And university is now taking on work-based learning explicitly. It's not that we did not do it before, we have been doing it since always, because the areas, the scientific areas we approach, they all integrate a curricular unit that has to be performed in shop floor. So we always have hands-on, but it was not advertised. Okay, so it was implicit, it was never explicit. Now it is. I will approach the development of university-industry partnerships from my university point of view. The students, the main actors, training actions that university provides for the acquisition of skills to qualification and to meet the labor market needs. Then the supervisors training, both from the companies and from university, to perform quality supervision. And what about salaries, costs, fees, funding for this activity? In the University of Aveiro, we have two particular characteristics that make us not unique, but almost in this country, which is we have the university, and then we have 4 polytechnic higher education schools, and we are a foundation. So we have experience in the learning and training for qualifications 5 and up of the National Qualifications Framework, and these qualifications meet the other characteristic I would like to tell you about, which is our departmental structure. We have not a faculty system, we have departments by scientific areas. And this means that wherever in the campi of the university it is identified the need to teach mathematics, someone from the Department of Mathematics of the university goes there and gives the teaching and provides the learning needed. So this fosters the mobility of teachers in different levels, in different contexts, and learning outcomes, both of teaching and of learning. And this way of working is embedded in the University of Aveiro since always. So it was a bit strange for me when suddenly at European level there was this struggle about level 5 and vet providers and things like that, okay? University of Aveiro has a strong influence in the region. We are very successful in the relationships we built. Our founding challenge is to be an innovative university that is open to society. And this is really not very well understood, because when we say we are open to society, until 5 years ago, this meant that we are waiting for the society to come to us. And it is here that the major change happened, is that we are no longer sitting in the university with the door of our offices and laboratories open. We are meeting the society, the industry, the companies halfway and working together in collaboration indeed. We have a strong interaction with the business community, with the regional and local government authorities, both in training and research, focused on the regional economy. It was the birth of this university was the industry of glass and crystal that is very spread, very well spread in this area. And we mean to help to address the needs of society whenever we can. We work on benchmark projects with Portuguese and international companies, as well as promoting and encouraging business ecosystem in the region. The last major facility that was open was a park for Science and Innovation. And this park hosts the entrepreneurship, the spin-offs, and all the needs of the companies that approach university asking for collaboration and sometimes for help. So it attracts and retains companies because they can work there, and we go to the companies. It supports the development of business ideas and fosters new collaborative and co-creation projects in close liaison with the University of Aveiro. So, speaking the words of our former rector, Manuel Assunção, University of Aveiro is proud to be a civic university. The University of Aveiro knowledge areas range from engineering to the arts and are focused on solving the real world problems of society. We have multidisciplinary teams, researchers from different departments, polytechnic institutes and research units with experience of interacting with the outside world and between us. So we are not only approaching the outside community, but we have quite a lot of intra-university, intra-higher education institution collaboration. These are the areas of collaboration, and they are named according to the business association. We have finally a cooperation office, not a person, one of us that due to his experiences, her experience does the job, but now we do have a cooperation office. And university has open door policy towards the company and other entities interested in carrying out work with the researchers, the teachers and the students. In joint research projects, in the provision of services, in hosting master students, on the promotion of PhD degrees in the business context, and incorporation of know-how and new technologies through licensing. There is an interface structure of collaboration with society unit that was created alongside with the cooperation office. Co-promotion projects with the society and the industry are basically what I just referred, joint research project, development of new knowledge, responding to the needs of companies, and this is extremely evident when we approach the polytechnic schools, because they provide the higher professional courses, and as soon as the students are integrated in a particular course, they have a pool of companies, local, national, but most local companies and industries that immediately goes to the school and says, well, I need to solve this problem. Do you have any students that can work with us on this? And I mean, even before the school year begins, we already have the companies at our offices asking and providing collaboration. These co-promotion projects vary in category according to the type of financing, because they can have public support or they can only be dependent exclusively on the beneficiary companies, depends on the nature of the project. The provision of services, putting into practice what we know in order to solve concrete problems the companies identified, and knowledge licensing. We license our products for the use of companies, and we grant the commercial exploitation, increasing company competitiveness. Well, it's almost the end of the week. Well, now regarding the students' training actions, directed to the acquisition of skills to qualification, to get the qualification degree, and to meet the labor market needs. Since we exist, 48 years ago, university was created, we have academic short-term internships incorporated in the curricular plans in a business industrial environment depending on the scientific area. These internships provide the enhancement of students' academic and professional training and promote the transfer of knowledge. And we have been doing this since always. So we have always worked with companies and in companies. The last novelty is a PhD program that was created in 2019 in business and innovation. And it resulted from the request of a group of companies and the willingness of the university to offer an international postgraduate training at doctoral level in a business environment with a global vision and a multi-year planning. And this PhD degree was custom-made, is an international program, and it was the first time a PhD program in this university was entitled to a dedicated session to present it to the academia, to the industry, and to society. So now the director of the doctoral school identified as very relevant to let the academia and the industries and whole society know that we are doing this and we are working together. And this is really a very, very big change. This program, you can read it later because it's too many topics, but responds to the needs of specialized training, continuous innovations of the companies. Employees from the companies can enroll the program, and if they have already a PhD and are attending this program, they become their own supervisors in the companies, and this just triggered the supervision process. And the supervisor's training in order to perform a quality supervision. As a consequence of identification of interaction of higher education with companies and industries, we have increasingly theses, dissertations, projects carried out jointly with companies in work-based learning, often on shop floor, and the joint supervision, meaning the academic supervisor goes to the company and the company supervisor goes to the university. Okay? What is, until now, the reality during supervision? Academic supervisors do not know the environment or the business language. They do not leave university, left university, used to leave. The workplace supervisors do not come to university and do not know the scope of the scientific content and application, and have long forgotten the academic language. And the student must follow the guidance of both supervisors, so this is quite a problem. There is no tradition of training, be it continuous or continued, neither of the professors or at the company's employees, although it is mandatory by law, but not in supervision. Arguments from both supervisors for not attending training actions. I have a PhD, so I don't need it. I think we all heard it. I don't have the time. We have a technological phobia. I don't know how to use ICTs, nor do I want to, because I never need it. And indeed, there is a lack of supply of training actions, of information, and no obligation to train to perform the role of supervisors. So, with this in mind, now I lost myself, okay. Yet higher education comprises the polytechnic schools where higher professional training courses are developed. They use Aalborg methodologies, project-based methodologies, problem-solved based technologies and other. We are now working in micro-credentials also. They have a compulsory component in a business environment with school company co-supervision. And the supervisors of the companies do not have training in the area of supervision. So what happens? What happens is that our colleagues from the polytechnic schools learn by themselves, they train themselves in order to provide the supervision and to lead the supervision process in collaboration with the company supervisor. So obviously there's a need of training. In some studies, we could read that, well, the last one I read was from the United States, indeed, and it said that when asked, 80% of the academic supervisors said they do not need training in the supervision area, and 80% of the students said they do. So this is quite a gap we need to overcome. So we need to train both supervisors, and in order to achieve this, to really implement the change of mentality, of attitudes, we have a doctoral school that is now asking for a training action on supervision. And they were asking it actually to me, but because I am a member of the Research Center on Technology and Training of Trainers, and the Research Center finally finds interesting to design such a training action. This is really evolution in the positive way. Of course, what I proposed was a Prince project of course, and you have here the link. And we agreed to develop a training that does not lead to a degree, but is accredited with ECTSs, and in order to foster that these training actions do have future supervisors or current supervisors attending it, it is addressed to professors of the higher educations and to the company's employees in joint supervision. They designed the curricula and the duration, possibly a short version and then a longer version. They identified experts on the topics to be addressed, either in the UI, in the University of Aveiro and elsewhere. They set enrollment fees and tuition fees because funding is very important. We do not have at government state any funding directed to this area. We meant this training action to be accredited with the University of Aveiro Pedagogics and Scientific Councils, included in the teachers' assessment parameters for career progression, and we cannot tell the companies to do it also, but we can do it in our universities. And it will be included in the University of Aveiro Lifelong Learning Training Program. So, what about salaries, costs, and fees? To attend a degree in higher education, students have to pay fees in Portugal. So, A higher education intern student doing an internship has to pay fees in order to attend a work-based learning situation, which is absolutely the opposite of what happened until very recently throughout Europe. In our universities, we have social grants, we have academic merit grants, we have sports merit scholarships, and we have motivational scholarships. And these are directed to different profiles of students, and they can be co-financed by the Portuguese state and European Social Fund, or by companies, and always with some funding from the university. We have awards in partnership with several companies and entities, and it usually is in currency, in money. We have a summer internship program at the University of Aveiro, where the participating companies and institutions host University of Aveiro students, and they have a grant for food insurance and funding regarding the insurance for trainees, and the host entities are responsible for all other obligations such as food subsidy or supply. This usually lasts for 3 months, and it takes place both in the companies and in the university. So everybody moves from one place to the others, academics, companies, people, and the students, okay? We have 2 programs, major ones, at high level of study, the Volcanoes in Japan program, and the partnership with International Bank, which is the university's internship scholarship program. And these are the largest programs for PhD, and they are both with interchange, so in mobility with Japan and with other countries in Europe. So what was really the change? We have a new rectory, mainly a new rector, and as we heard early this week, we like to keep high-positioned people by our side. The doctoral schools director profile shows an openness to different ideas. The Research Center on Education finally woke up and is moving towards the training of higher education teachers in supervision. We all within the academia yes, we hear, but we do not listen. So now we are listening to the feedback from our colleagues in the field. There is identification of the need of raising awareness in the academia for supervision skills. Younger people are involved. Actually, universities teaching staff is getting very old, you can see by me, but we do have quite a lot of young people getting in, so they will make the transition and carry on the work. And the COVID-19 omnipresence created an opportunity for critical thinking. So confinement, in this case, was not only in this case, but regarding supervision and collaboration, was indeed a good thing because it allowed us time to think and to reflect. So what about the road ahead, the way ahead? We are identifying new lines of research, so knowledge increase. We are designing new tools for supervision, innovation. We are trying to increase student success, fostering employability, and empowering university lifelong learning, therefore contributing to sustainability. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Lucilia, for your contribution and for sharing with us your experiences. You see, my timer is also working now. So
I spoke too long, I'm sorry.
No, do not worry. I think this was a very broad and a very important contribution. And I would now give the time actually for questions. And I already had one of Pat Davis. And I think that has some very much, I think you approached a lot of issues that I think are important when having university industry relationships. But I think the question of Pat is directing in how the university was able to create this deep and wide network of relationships. Just hard work for many years, or what was the reason for that? So maybe you could say something on that for the beginning.
Well, it is really a matter of maturity, I think, because as the mission of the university always relied on working for the society with the companies, I mean, this is always in the back of our mind, you see. So what then happens is that when our students graduate and they become CEOs in some company, either their own company or in some institution, they keep coming back to university. And because that company comes, well, the network extends. And so the office for students of the university, all students of the university, is giving a great input in this. Also, the fact that we have an association that provides professional certification allow us to interact with governmental entities, such as the Institute for Unemployment, and we design training actions that they accredit, they certify for professional evolution. And then we always include some module that forces, between commas, the trainees to go to some company. It does not necessarily to be heavy industry or petrol industry, but if you are studying in translation and editorial processes, then you are placed, you will go to a company that provides these services, and you will shadow somebody at least to know what it is to work in real place context.
So I understand it was years of work. Yeah. And getting actually the alumni back with their companies. And actually for that, and that is already, maybe I take that up from Kame already, because this is also the issue of the influence being local or more regional or national. So on which levels do you operate with the companies, with your alumni and students?
When we talk about the level 5 degrees, we work mainly with local industry. And University of Aveiro is in Aveiro, but two of the schools are in two other cities close by. And the industry is very different in both cities, because one is towards the interior of the country and the other is by the seaside and to the north. So we had different profiles of companies and different needs. And that's why there are two schools that are dedicated to different subjects. When we come to first cycle, we go regional and sometimes national, also with the master degrees. And our previous students give us quite a big support in that area. And now we are really starting to work internationally with companies. This program with Japan, the other one, I think it is with Spain. And due to the projects that investigation research projects that are being developed, these projects brought together different departments, so different scientific areas. So each department has their networks. And so this combination produces a multiplication factor. And that's, well, I mean, we now are really international and we are intercontinental because we work very much with Brazil and all the Portuguese speaking countries in Africa.
Wow. I will take care of all questions, but there was something when it comes actually to the PhD programs. And I was just thinking, because there was also the question of Jenny, but I was a bit, how should I say, surprised that your PhD is on business and innovation. I mean, also looking at your background and knowing that industry is very important. Why business and innovation? I also know some colleagues, Christine from Hamburg, for example, they are quite involved, not in PhD, but work-based learning with the industry. So I was wondering why business and innovation and not something else in the technical sector? So maybe you could say a few words on that.
Well, actually, the coordinator of the program is a mechanical engineer from my university. So we are quite multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. And this business innovation came up because indeed there was a consortium of a group of universities, of companies that identified, I think they are in German, most of them, German and Switzerland, and that they identified they have common problems in the same areas. And they knew someone from here. We met at a conference, a UCAN conference probably, and or a VET reunion or a European Alliance for Apprenticeship meeting. And so it developed. It's quite frequent that in European Alliance for Apprenticeship meetings, someone comes to me and asks me, you come from Aveiro, do you know this and that and that? And they are my colleagues, of course. So, I mean, this particular subject was identified by a set of companies. They came to us and asked us, are you willing to do this? Mm-hmm. And really, we said yes. We always say yes, and it's quite a lot of work.
Okay, thank you. But so the reason was there was interest and it's working. It's not, I mean, because my idea was, so you just took up also the interest in that for the PhD program. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I would, Christina Paulus, I would ask you to ask your question yourself because I did not really understand it. So maybe you can make it clear to Lucilia on that. But you need to unmute yourself before.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Eva. Hello, Cecilia. My question would be that in fact, it's a lot of human resources where lecturers and university professors are taking part in this networking. So my big question is, at our universities always are a problem because they cannot put so much human resources into that. So the evaluation of your universities for teachers and professors, is it different? Is it that if they have entrepreneurship and partnership with companies, they're also evaluated differently? Is it also a very important point for their evaluation themselves?
Well, yes, because it is valued as a collaboration with how do you say it? No, it's not the outside. With
third parties, third mission, third parties, third mission. Is it?
I mean, you do something outside the university.
Yeah,
but
knowledge
for the
transfer.
university.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is valued in the assessment for career progression. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for that. Looking at the time, I think there is the possibility for one last question. If somebody wants to raise one last short question, because I would say, Jenny, what you were writing is something where you want to go on to work. So you need to talk with Lucilia on that extra, I think.
Yes.
So
we met Lucilia. Also, Lucilia has visited the Ioannina, so she knows a lot,
okay.
quite a lot. And we've been working on the same field in a way. So we send our teachers to have work-based learning, and they work in private schools also. So it's a way. That's why I said if we can do something more formal. Okay.
So you see, so it works. So if there are any other options for talking to Lucilia about a joint PhD program, maybe with the University of Chester, John having you next to that, or
we can organize that, and we can have a program under ULLL on this matter. Common joint projects. I think from EC we can get funds also for this kind of things.
So I'm fine with that. So if there comes some action from you, I think we are welcome within UCAN to pick that up also as topic, because I think, and that was also something that Carol brought in, or Carol Costley on Monday, while is very much doing, is also the professional doctorates or work-based doctorates. And I think that's something that, at least for Germany, is still something far, far away. So, if I may say. And I think it would be interesting within international collaboration, and looking already at the people I see here now, just with the videos and also without, I think there could be some interesting joint ideas or joint ventures on that. So, well, then I would say, well, there's one last question of Pat, and I would take that up. Because I think this is something about the quality control, and this is a topic that also was going with us the last days. So who would do the assessment? Would that be shared between the companies, or is it all and university, or is done all by university? So Lucilia, famous last words on that.
Okay, thank you. It is a major issue, really. And it comes up when you have the public presentation of your thesis, and you have your academic supervisor, and you have your company supervisor, and you are presenting to everybody. And in the end, we have also, there are 3 people in the jury. You have an external to the process, but it is usually a member of the university. Nowadays, there are 4 people, because we also have an expert from the companies. So what happens when people are reasonable is, at the beginning of the project, they define how will the assessment be carried out. And most of the time, it is a percentage of the overall classification attributed to the academia and to the companies. I mean, you have to define beforehand how you are going to assess it. And it is never only, I mean, never say never, because when things go wrong and your academia supervisor does not go to the company, well, it is the company supervisor that has to evaluate, of course, and vice versa. But we tend more and more to understand that things work better if you define it prior to the beginning of the process. So it is not a one-side assessment; it's a co-assessment.
So thank you very much. And as also shared by Susan that the collaboration between company and higher education's assessment is done. So thank you also for that. Well, and I may say, Lucilia, thank you to you. I think you have a wonderful background because that looks very much like in a laboratory.
I'm
here.
in the laboratory. This one is students are next laboratory. Sometimes they go to the door and ask something, but I will listen.
Your students are close to you. I know that. So I say thank you that you could spare the time to be with us today and to join your experiences and development. So, and we are open to a joint doctoral program, of course, funded by the Commission. So, and this I use for my last
Your micro, Eva.
Hear you, Eva.
Oh, sorry, now. Sorry for that. That's why, because, yeah, that happens. Unmute, please. So I would want to say thank you. Here's the last marketing for today, but I hope to see you tomorrow for our last session together. And of course, if you want to work on joint doctorates, please feel free to develop a proposal to share it with us. And let's see if we can get some funding on that. So have a good day. Maybe see you later in the afternoon or then tomorrow. Thank you and bye.
Very good to see you all. Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Bye, Lucy. You too, Lucilia. Bye.